here with Pompey boss John Mousinho. John, an afternoon of high drama and high controversy. Let's just talk about your players and their efforts there first and foremost through that sort of 70 plus minutes of being down to 10 men.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible off the back of a long trip on Friday and having played so well, I think, to get ourselves back into the game on Friday, and again to do that today with 10 men. Some very, very tired bodies out there, and a couple of players that have played their first minutes for a long, long time. So I thought it was a brilliant effort, and the boys gave absolutely everything.
Now, the reason that they've had to put in that effort was obviously down to 10 men for that period of time. What was your take on that decision?
I think it was just in real time. I wasn't expecting anything other than maybe a talking to, maybe a yellow card. We've had the luxury of watching the incident back, and we see it slowed down with the Sky cameras. So we've got our opinion on it, but unfortunately the referee's only got sort of one look. But they'd always go back and think, well, what was my thought at the time? My thought at the time was that I just wasn't thinking at any point it was a red. When he pulled the red out, I thought maybe Connor's elbowed his head on the ground or he's kicked out at him or something. I couldn't believe it was for the challenge, so I was very surprised by that decision.
Well, we talk about the threshold for serious foul play and excessive force and brutality, and these are the markers that it didn't appear to, from this observed issue that hit those.
And obviously from my standpoint as well, I think if you're going to make a decision like that in such a big moment of a big game, you have to make sure you're 100% right and you get it spot on. And I don't think the referee did to that. I thought he got it wrong, and I thought that was highlighted then by what happened after that.
Yeah, when you talk about what after that, I mean, one decision with Brody Spencer in the second half seemed to stand up. What was your assessment of that?
It's just the clearest yellow I've seen for, obviously, it would sound like for a long, long time from my standpoint. Very, very similar to the first incident, and I think nobody's expecting him to pull out the red card. Everybody's just thinking, right, this is a good moment because Terry's breaking, Spencer's cut across the back of him, he's fouled him, and it's a yellow card. It's as simple as that. But I was obviously baffled at the time, and then I'm still baffled. I still have no no comprehension as to why it wasn't given.
You can see some telling reactions sometimes from the bench, and certainly their reaction in the immediacy, and then the decision to take off Spencer was probably quite revealing.
Oxford aren't stupid, they knew what was going on. They had to get him off as quickly as possible, and it almost became, I get on well with everyone on the Oxford bench. It almost became a sort of a laughing matter. They couldn't believe their luck. They couldn't believe that had happened. Really good opportunity with 20 minutes to play for us to even the numbers up, and I thought we showed when we had. I thought we showed throughout the game we were more than a good match, but with even numbers, I think we were excellent.
And obviously, you've spoken to the referee afterwards. What did he have to say for himself?
But it's just obviously football's subjective. It's a difficult. I get it's a difficult job, and in the moments the referees made those decisions, and we had a long conversation in there, which I think to sort of protect the honesty of those conversations we have is best thing to come out and meet you with. But the referees and the referee unit, obviously they don't want to get things wrong. It just seemed to me like it was in two key moments. There was a yellow card that could have issued to Conor Overy. No one would have batted an eyelid. There wouldn't have been an appeal. I think nobody would have gotten a telling off for that after. And exactly the same with the second one. It's just a very, very clear second yellow. So the two huge decisions, and everything's heightened because of the importance of the game,
of course,
and where we are in the league. The two huge decisions go against us and ultimately cost us.
And you will appeal the red card?
I think so, yeah. I think we will. Whether we get anything from it, I don't know, but we definitely will.
Yeah, okay. Just talk about your players there. There was a number of sort of Herculean efforts there through that. I mean, let's start with the wingers, for example, today. Both stood out.
Yeah, well, I thought when you go in and sit in that sort of 4-4-1 shape, to get the outlet we needed, that pace and the power from both the wingers, and Keshi was outstanding. Again, considering it's his first start for us here, his first game since January, and Gus naturally does that anyway. Maybe the game would suit Gus even more because he had that space to run into. I thought he was brilliant. Hence we kept Keshi on for as long as we could, and we didn't take us off.
How many times are you kind of thinking, can I get a bit more?
The initial thought from our standpoint was probably 60 minutes for Kesh, and then we took over the 60-minute mark. We thought, well, we might make this up here, but it looked lively, and he went again, and he went again, and he went again. He did his offensive duty, he got to a real threat going forward as well. So yeah, the only sad thing I think today is that we've all been deprived of seeing a bit more of that attacking performance because the amount of defending we had to do.
Yeah. And even Andre Giselle, again, how did he stay on the pitch for the duration?
Yeah, I mean, it does have to play, but it's the Sheffield United game here, and it's always thinking about how we manage that. It boiled down to it being a game where it's very, very difficult coming on in those sort of circumstances for the game. So we were being possible. But what we didn't want to do is players coming on, getting caught a bit cold and struggling with the pace of the game, particularly when we weren't on the front foot. When we're on the front foot, it's easy to make those changes, and we decided
obviously a afternoon high emotion. You always come out in the immediacy and give a little bit of fair assessment. How do you see things balance up as we sit here now in terms of the championship battle to stay up?
It's still incredibly tight, incredibly difficult circumstances. I think we saw ourselves in. We've still got 6 games to play. By the time we're back in a couple of weeks, we'll have those sort of 2 home games and between that, first of all, we've got to go up to Minster, so everything to play for. I think if all we have to do for the next 6 games is put that level of effort and that level of care, that fight and that consistency into it. As we've seen today, I know we've got enough quality to hurt sides, and that's what we've got to do.
You obviously started Connor Shaughnessy today. What can you do with Connor moving forward in terms of his availability? How do you manage him? What have you got to do? Is he available for every game? Are you going to choose the game?
What you saw this weekend, where we decided to change the second half partnership on Friday to have shots ready for this game, but we do feel like we've got players coming in effect anyway, so it's not like we're going. We're bringing in Jojo, and I thought we'll go into the game was very, very good in the second half against Norwich. Against some extreme talent there. So I think we've got good options, and if we've got those options, we can manage.
And what about Andre now? Is he kind of fully back in, going to do those back-to-back, those kind of?
Yeah, Andre's fine. He had a contact injury, so he's.
Yes, but I mean in terms of he's fit. Yeah, sure. Okay, and just on a couple of others. Zach Swanson, what's the situation with him now?
Still waiting for the report from the specialist. It's been difficult over the holidays to nail that down. There's something there, and the needs whether we can play on for the rest of the season.
I'm sure Zach's the type of character that he can get himself out there and patch himself up. I mean, he's matured so much, hasn't he?
I think we'll see where everything is tomorrow.
Yeah, and Ibu Adams, obviously, how's it? How are things looking for him?
We're expecting
Leicester game, okay. So I mean, how important is that going to be now to get him back and in good fetting for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, just get him back and with 4 games to play at that point. Obviously, there'll still be 12 games to play for. We hope to put a couple more before then.
And just finally, what are your messages to supporters now? I mean, with it so tight, and I mean, what we saw there today actually in terms of your backing as well.
I think the backing was incredible throughout the game. It was a brilliant atmosphere to start off with. I obviously feel sorry for the fans in terms of what they've had to see today, because they pay their money to see us play like we did for the first 17 minutes, and very, very different performance. The atmosphere was brilliant, and thankfully I got the goal towards the end, which hopefully has lifted everyone's spirits going home.
I mean, there has been talk of protests about the owners in recent weeks, but what you have seen, I mean, again at Norwich, it was clear evidence of that everyone's on board with what's needed here, and first and foremost, that's keeping this club in the Championship.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to make sure that these champions for the next 6 games, and when we have the 3 games here at home, they're absolutely huge for us. Massive games, and we know we're getting massive amount of away support. There's going to be a lot of travel, I think, obviously on Friday and Saturday for the fans coming up to Middlesbrough. We've got to do everything we possibly can to give them a good afternoon, and then come back here on Tuesday nights and do it.